Nice to see you back. We will be learning more about updating the project status. Remember, we had discussion about project management process groups. If you can recall lectures from the beginning of our course, we said that we have 5 process groups that are initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and control, and finally the closing. Just to refresh your mind, let me quickly explain each of these project management process groups. Initiating phase, in fact, is the beginning of our project where we decide about the high-level project scope, appoint project manager, and the project objectives or end results are decided here. In other words, the project charter is issued at this stage. Then comes the planning. During the planning phase, we plan every step in the project to achieve the project end results. For example, we plan and create project and the WBS in Primavera P6. We create and assign resources, roles, and assign cost as needed. Then, of course, we create the project baseline. Remember, project baseline is snapshot or copy of the project that we use to analyze and compare our project performance at some certain point of time during the course of project. So once the project baseline is ready and assigned, then that means the planning phase is over and our project is ready for execution now. We will execute or implement what was planned. We will perform the work what we have planned earlier during the planning phase. Please don't forget that during the execution or implementation phase, the real work will begin and we will start receiving the information about the actual work being performed at the project site. For example, the exact dates when a certain project activity started and when it finished. How long the activity took to complete the work, what resources we used, and what was the actual cost that occurred to complete the work on a certain project activity. And this is what we do. During the project execution phase, we update our project status on regular intervals, such as on weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly basis. It purely depends upon your own project requirements. Then during the monitoring and control phase, we receive reports. We make sure and control that the work on every activity is going smooth and it's meeting the required project objectives or end results. Finally, in the closing phase, we close and hand over the project end results to the customer or the sponsor of the project. Okay, so now let's get back to our original topic. Can you tell me why do we update our project status? Please note that and remember the key point here that once a project is being implemented, then it is very important to keep the schedule up to date because actual durations may change with respect to our original estimates, and also the order or the sequence of activities may change once the work begins. So it's very important that we should regularly update our schedules and we should keep comparing and analyzing our project schedule with the baseline. So what's the actuals then? It means the actual duration, actual cost, actual start or finish dates. Now, in order to analyze our project progress, we should keep recording actuals in the Primavera P6. So this way, we make sure that our project is on track and that we are using our resources effectively. Also, very important that we have to keep an eye and monitor project actual costs against the budgeted cost. Okay, the question, how do we report actuals in the Oracle Primavera P6? Please note that we update our project progress using the Status tab and Resources tab in the Activity Details form, as you can see here. Please note that once we finish updating and reporting actual, then we have to use the schedule function at the top in the tools toolbar, as you can see here, to recalculate the remaining items by the Oracle Primavera P6 algorithm. Alternatively, we can use the F9 key from our keyboard, and also we can find the same command by clicking on Tools menu from the top and can find the schedule option from here. Now, if you see in the activities table view, our first activity from the top is called Start Head Office Building Project, and it has the 0 duration. That means it's a milestone activity. And another important point here that we have the start date mentioning here, but there is no finish date in the baseline project finish date. That means it's a start milestone which is used to indicate the start of our project. Now, if I want to update the status of this milestone activity, let me click on this, and in the activity detail form below, I will click on Status tab. Under Status heading, if I click on Started, now you observe here closely that what happens here. I clicked on Started. As soon as I clicked on Started, the Finish checkbox is also marked automatically. The reason behind this is it's a milestone activity. It's a start milestone. That's why the Finish checkbox under Status heading is marked by itself automatically, and the duration is changed to 100% completed. If you can observe here in the Gantt chart view, under every activity we have a small yellow bar displaying there. That yellow bar shows us the baseline. If you can recall from our previous lecture where we have discussed the baseline, a project baseline is a snapshot or copy of the project that is used to analyze and compare the project performance. Now, before we proceed further, let's turn on the progress spotlight. We can turn on the progress spotlight by going to the Tools toolbar from the top and can click on Progress Spotlight icon here. Now, as you see, immediately after this, in the Gantt chart view, a yellow line showing there. A yellow vertical line is showing in the Gantt chart view. So, what is the objective and what is the benefit of this progress spotlight? In fact, the progress spotlight is used to help the scheduler to find out the set of activities that are required to be updated at some certain point of time. Now, as soon as you click on progress spotlight, you see yellow vertical line in the Gantt chart view, and also there are some activities that are highlighted in yellow in the activity table view. So that means the activities that are showing in yellow color are required to be updated. Let's say, for example, if I disable the progress spotlight, now you see these activities are also, the yellow color in the activity table view is also disappeared. Now I will click on progress spotlight icon again, and you see we have two activities there that are highlighted in yellow. The first one is Start Head Office Building Project, and the second one is Prepare Building Design. Okay, so the progress spotlight is very useful in situations. For example, let's say we have large number of activities in our project schedule. Say, assume in our case, if we have 500 activities, then how we are going to find out that what activities are required to be updated today or tomorrow, for example. So that's how the progress spotlight help us as a scheduler to find out the activities that are required to be updated on some particular point of time. Next, I need to add activity status and %complete type columns in the activity table view. And for this, I can click on columns icon in the layout toolbar, and in the columns window under available options, I will find the activity status, activity status, and I will click on find next. Now you see I will add activity status under selected option by clicking on add to the list. The next column I need to add is percent complete type. I will click on find, and you see we have the percent complete type option. I will close this and click on add to the list. Let me move the activity name in the beginning after the activity ID. I don't need resources, or what I can do is I can move resources at the end, also the budgeted cost at the end, and then I will click on apply, click on OK. Now you see we have activity status and the percent complete type columns displaying there in the activity table view. The activity status column let us know the status. I mean, it will show us if the activity is not started, in progress, or completed already. We have already updated our start head office building project activity, which is a milestone activity, and it is showing the completed status. While on the other hand, the second activity, which is called prepare building design, we have not updated the status of this activity yet. Okay, now if I click on, you see the cell in front of the prepare building design. As I said earlier, it shows us the completed, in progress, and not started activity. Now please note down here the percent complete type column. It can be used to select the activity percent complete types. I mean, it helps us to find out the ways that can be used to measure the progress of an activity. Please note that we can have 3% complete types. For example, if I click on the cell here, these percent complete types are duration, physical, and units. Now please note that here all the activities percent complete types are showing duration at this stage. This is because the default percent complete type settings is set to duration at the moment. Please note that it is very important for us to understand the percent complete types, the options that we have in the percent complete type column. Now, if we choose to select the activity percent complete type as duration, so understand that the duration percent complete type means the uniform production rate. What does that mean? I mean, the Primavera P6 software algorithm, it assumes that the equal amount of work is being done over the duration of an activity. Let's assume we are working on an IT software development project. It has a certain activity called software coding, and the duration of this activity is 20 days. I mean, the software coding activity has 20 days duration to complete the work. After 5 days, the 25% work is completed, and after 10 days, the 50% of the work must be completed. And then after 15 days, 75% of the coding work is completed. And then of course, 100% coding is finished after 20 days. So if you observe here, the work is distributed uniformly over the duration of the activity. So please note that the duration percent complete type is the default percent complete type in the Primavera P6, and it's commonly used since less data is required to input in the Primavera P6. All we need to enter is just the percent complete, and the Primavera P6 will take care of the rest and will calculate the remaining duration automatically by the software. Another very important point to remember here that it's not possible in the Primavera P6 to update the remaining duration without affecting the percent complete value. I mean, the duration percent complete value and the remaining duration, these are both interlinked with each other. For example, for this present activity that is selected there in the activity table view, if I change the remaining duration to 15 days, for example, and as soon as I hit enter, you see the duration percent is also changed to 50%. Now, if I change the duration percent to 0%, for example, and press enter on my keyboard, you see the remaining duration is also changed under the duration heading here in the activity table view. So you have seen the effect here that these are both interlinked. Another important point to note that the duration % complete type is mostly used when we are not producing any tangible product in our project. I mean, the activity progress is not based on the progress in the creation of a tangible product. We can take the example such as the research and training projects where we don't have any tangible product at the end. So again, please note that in such cases, always the progress of the activities are duration driven only. Now, on the other hand, if our project work, it involves non-uniform production rate. I mean, let's say in our previous example, as you can see here, related to the software coding activity, let's assume 15% coding work is completed in first 5 days, whereas the 25% coding work, it should have been completed after 5 days of work. Now, after 10 days, the software development team was able to complete only the 45% of the total coding work, but after 15 days, the team did well and is on track now. I mean, the 75% coding work is completed, and then the 100% coding work is done in 20 days. So all this may happen in your project as well due to learning curve, especially once you have new members in your project team. So this is what we will refer as the non-uniform production rate. And remember, we will use the physical % complete type in this case. Another key point to remember here that it's very important to note that unlike duration % complete, as we said earlier, that the % complete value and remaining duration were linked there, but here in this case, the physical % complete value and the remaining duration are not linked. So the physical % complete does not calculate a remaining duration automatically when a % complete value is entered for an activity. That means we need to enter the remaining duration manually under the duration heading in the activity detail form, or we can mention an expected calendar finish date, and thus the Primavera P6 will calculate the remaining duration automatically in this case. Okay, now if it is possible that we can know the remaining work of an activity and we are able to measure the physical work achieved, for example, in case of a construction of a wall, we can always measure the physical work achieved. So it's better that to use the physical % complete type here. So in general, the physical % complete type can be used in construction projects, as you know, where we usually produce a physical or a tangible product. For example, as you can see here, in case of a prepare building design activity, let me change the % complete type to physical. And if I enter the physical % complete to 50%, and you see the remaining duration will not change. As we said earlier, that we have to manually enter the remaining duration here. Now, the units % complete type, it is used to calculate the remaining labor units from the actual labor units on an activity. For example, for the same activity, let's say if I change the prepare building design % complete type to units, and you see since the units % complete was already 50% there, so it has changed the remaining to 15 labor units. if I changed the units percent complete to 0%, for example, and you see the remaining is 30. The remaining, it is showing 30 labor units. So as you can see here in the Primavera P6, we can assign a unique percent complete type to every activity in our schedule. I mean, the percent complete types are assigned at the activity level, and what percent complete type you use, it purely depends on the nature of the work of the activity types in your own project. But it's always better you use only 1% complete type in your project, because that will make your life easy and activity updating procedures in your project will be more smooth. So as a summary, what we have discussed so far, that most of the time we use the duration percent complete type or the physical percent complete type for the activities in our project schedule. Now, if an activity is selected as the duration percent complete type, then duration percent complete type is linked with the remaining duration, and it is calculated automatically by the Primavera P6 software. While for the physical percent complete type activities, we have to mention the remaining duration manually. Also, please note that the duration percent complete types are used for the project products that are not tangible, such as training or the research projects, etc. While the physical percent complete type is normally used for the activities that can be measured physically. I mean, the progress can be known physically, such as the construction of the wall in the construction projects, etc. Now that we know the difference between the duration and physical percent complete types and setting up the activity percent complete types already. Remember, we said earlier that we are going to update our project status mainly using the status tab and the resources tab in the activity details form below. And also, as you know, we have already updated our first activity, which is start head office building project, and it is showing the activity status as completed. And remember, it's a milestone activity. It has the 0 duration. Now let's move forward, and for the sake of exercise, let's assume and we are doing our first project status update on the 4th of October. And you see the progress spotlight is already turned on. And also let me click here on the progress spotlight, and you see the arrow pointing left and rightwards. I will click here on the progress spotlight and drag it to the 4th of October. As you see here, now it's 4th of October here. Now on the left side in the activity table view, as you see, we have 4 activities there that have turned yellow. That means these are the activities that are required to update. We need to update the status of these activities. The first activity, start head office building project, it is updated already. Now let's move forward to our second activity called prepare building design. I will click on the prepare building design and I will keep the percent complete type as duration only. So let's leave as it is. Now, as you can see here in the activity detailed form below in the status tab, under the status heading, we have the started checkbox and the finish checkbox that are empty. Let's assume that this activity is on schedule and it started on 21st of June and finished on 24th of July, exactly as our schedule. So I will click on started checkbox and then I will update in the duration percent box as 100% complete, and it was finished on 24th of July. Now you see here our remaining duration has turned to 0 and it has updated the duration, the remaining duration automatically by the Oracle Primavera P6 software. Now in the Gantt chart view, you see the activity has turned blue. That means the activity is completed. Now if we go to the resources tab, the actual cost, it is showing $15,000, but let's assume here there is a variance of $1,000. I mean, instead of $15,000, we spend $14,000 on this activity to complete the work. And this is how we have updated our second activity in the work package called Building Design and the activity called Prepare Building Design. If we observe the baseline start and the finish dates for this activity, you see the actual start and the actual finish dates are the same. That's why you see there is no difference between this small yellow bar, which is baseline. I mean, the start and finish dates are exactly the same as the baseline project start and the baseline project finish. Now let's move to our third activity called Prepare Building Design, Review and Approve Designs. I will click on Review and Approve Designs activity and I will leave the %complete type as duration and in the status tab in the activity detail form below. Now let's assume here our Review and Approve Designs activity, it has delayed for 1 week. I mean, it started late. So I will click on Started checkbox under the status tab, under the status heading, and then let me click on this Browse button, and instead of 2nd of August, this activity has started on 9th of August. I will click on Select button here. Now you see what happens in the Gantt chart. Our baseline remains the same while our activity has delayed 1 week. It has shifted the bar, the activity bar has shifted on the right. That means our original start date, if you observe here in the activity table view as well, that our baseline start date is 2nd of August, but activity actually started on 9th of August. So that's why you are seeing this shift in the activity bar in the Gantt chart view. Now this activity has finished already, but it has finished and delayed for 1 week. So it started 1 week late and it has finished with 1 week delay. So I will click on Finished and I will browse here and I will click on 31st. So originally it was going to finish on 24th, but now it has shifted to 31st of August. So this date is already selected there. I will just click on Select button here. And as I explained earlier, that the duration % and the remaining duration are interlinked. So as soon as you change the duration %complete here in this field, the remaining duration will be updated automatically by the Primavera P6 algorithm. And if you want to observe the change here in the activity table view, you see here our baseline project start was 2nd of August, but we actually started this activity on 9th of August. And our baseline project finish date was 24th of August, but since we had 1 week delay in our activity, that delayed the finish date to 1 week later than the baseline project finish date, which is 31st of August. And you can also observe the same in the Gantt chart view as well. Now let's move to our next activity in the next WBS element or work package called Foundation. The fourth activity that we need to update here is site preparation. Let me click on site preparation and I will change the duration of this activity. I mean the % complete type to physical. So what does that mean? Remember, as I said earlier, an activity is selected to run at physical %complete type, then the physical %complete field here in the status tab and the remaining durations are not interlinked anymore. I mean, once we mention the physical %complete here, it will not update the remaining duration here under duration heading. So we have to manually mention the remaining duration here. Now let's assume that the activity has started exactly as planned on the 30th of August, and assume that on 4th of October the activity has 50% completed. So I will type here 50, and you see, even after entering physical %complete here, the remaining duration is not changed. So I have to update the remaining duration manually. I will type remaining days as 20 here. Now our next task is to update the actual costs, and as you know, as we have discussed earlier, the actual cost is being updated in the resources tab. So I'm going to click on resources tab here. Now if you observe here closely and see that here the Primavera P6 is already saying that my actual cost is $12,000 in case of project manager and $8,000 for the construction supervisor. This is due to the fact that we have completed our activity 50%. I mean, our activity is halfway through. So we were expecting the same actual cost here. So sometimes it's okay and it's true, but if due to some reasons, if your progress rate is uniform and your production rate is also uniform, and sometimes if this is not correct, then you may have the actual cost actually more than that whatever is mentioned here. Let's say, for example, if the project manager is costing 13,000 and the construction supervisor is costing $9,000 instead of 8,000, then in this particular case we'll say that this is cost overrun, and we are going to update the same amount here under the actual cost column. Since the Primavera P6 algorithm is giving me the same result under actual cost that what I was expecting, so I'm not gonna change this value. I will leave as it is. So we have updated this activity called site preparation as of 4th of October. And remember, in our previous activity, I have not updated the resources cost. If I click on review and improve designs, you see the actual cost remains at $10,000 for the design architect, and for the project manager, actual cost is $12,000. Since there is no variance, so I will leave the actual cost as it is here. Okay, now let me click on site preparation. Okay, fine. So we have updated all our activities that are highlighted yellow as of 4th of October. Now that we have finished updating our activities, our next important step is to schedule our activities accordingly. And this task we are going to achieve by clicking on the schedule icon in the tools toolbar, or the same thing we can do by clicking on the tools menu from the top and can click on schedule icon from here. Now you see the schedule window is opened in front of us. Now we have to update the current data date. This is the date basically that we use. The current data date means the day or the date on which we are doing these updates. I will click on schedule. I will click on browse button here. And if you can remember, our schedule data date is 4th of October. I will click on 4th of October here, and I will click on select. I will click on schedule button now on the right side. Now watch what happens in our Gantt chart area. Now if you can observe here, two things has been happened in our Gantt chart view. our activity bar has been turned blue, showing that the 50% or half of the work has been completed. And also you observe the progress spotlight has been shifted from its original position, from where it was initially. That simply means the position from where we will be doing our next project status update. I mean the date from where we will be doing our next status update. Now, for the sake of this exercise, let's assume that we'll be doing our next update on 18th of October. I mean after 2 weeks on bi-weekly basis. Of course, you can select and can have your own status update as per your own project requirements. But in this case, I'll be doing my status update after every 2 weeks time. So remember, our previous update was on 4th of October, and since we'll be doing our status update after every 2 weeks from now, so our next status update will be on 18th of October. Okay, so let me move my cursor to the progress spotlight line, and you see its position, its shape has been changed, like arrow pointing backward and forward. Now, by keep pressing my left mouse, I will drag the line to 18th of October, and you see the only activity that is required to be updated and has turned yellow in the activities table view, it is the site preparation. So that means during this 2 weeks time, from 4th of October to 18th of October, this is the only activity that we are going to update. Okay, now let me click on Status tab in the activity table view. Now you see here it is showing that the activity will finish on 29th of October. This is because this 1 week delay is because our predecessor activity is delayed for 1 week. But here in this case, in case of site preparation, our project team was able to recover and finish the site preparation activity on time. I'll click on finish check mark here under status heading, and I will click and browse the date, and now I will select the 22nd of October instead of 29. Our baseline start date was on 22nd of October. So I will select the same date here. I'll click on select. Now you see the difference has gone. Our activity started on 30th of August and it finished on 22nd of October. And you see there is no difference here in the baseline, this yellow bar and activity bar, which is blue in color. And if you observe here the same in the activity table view, our baseline project start and the finish dates are matching. Our activity, you see, it has changed to 100%. That means the work on our activity is 100% completed, and under the duration, if you see, the remaining duration is also changed to 0. Now here, since this is the only activity that we need to update during this time, you see, this is the only activity that is highlighted in yellow. So I will click on schedule icon in the tools toolbar and select my current data date to 18th of October. I'll click on select button here. Then I'll click on schedule button now in the schedule window. Now you see the progress spotlight has shifted to the 18th of October. And our next update is, as you know, we are updating our project status after every 2 weeks time. So our next status update is 1st of November. Okay, so now let me move my progress spotlight to the 1st of November. I will drag it to the 1st of November. And as you can see here on 1st of November, the only activity that we need to update is the excavation. our site preparation activity is finished already, so we don't need to update this anymore. Now let's assume our activity called excavation, it is going to run on physical. We'll change the percent complete type to physical. So I will double click here and change our percent complete type to physical, as you can see here. Now in the status tab below, if you see, let's assume our activity has started on time. So I will click on started checkbox here, and we got the report that our activity has 50% completed till now. So I will change or modify physical percent complete type field to 50%. And you see here, the remaining duration is not changed. Remember, we discussed earlier that if our activity percent complete type is physical, then we have to modify our remaining duration manually. So I will change the remaining duration to 10 days. And next we are going to update the actual cost in the resources tab. So I will click on resources here. Now you see and observe here, the actual cost has been already, calculated by the Oracle Primavera P6 algorithm. You see it's showing half. Our budgeted cost was 18,000 in case of excavator, and our construction supervisor has also consumed the half of the cost. So let's say we have spent less. We have spent 8,000 on the excavator, and the construction supervisor has cost us 6,000 in order to complete the 50% work on this activity. Now, since this is the only activity that we have to update during this time, so I will click on schedule icon in the tools toolbar at the top, and I will browse the date and change it to 1st of November. I'll click on select icon here. Now, once I click on schedule, now you see the activity bar for this particular activity called excavation has been turned blue. The part of it has been turned blue. We started on 21st of October, exactly as per our baseline says, if you can observe here in the activity table view. So that's the reason there is no difference between activity bar and the baseline bar, that is a small bar showing below the activity bar in yellow color. Okay, now let's move to our next status update, which is 15th of November. So let me click on the progress spotlight line and move it on the right to 15th of November. And if you see and observe here on the left side in the activity table view, the activities that require update are excavation and install underground electric conduit. And these are the activities that have been turned yellow in the activity table view. So let me click on the first activity called excavation, and the status it is showing is in progress. Now I will click on status tab in the activity details form below. Now you see in our previous update, it was completed 50%. Now let's say it is finished earlier. It was supposed to finish on 19th of November, but it finished 1 week before on 12th of November. So let me click on the finish checkbox, and you see the percent complete has been changed to 100% complete, and remaining duration is 0. Now, if I click on resources tab to update the actual resources cost for this activity, all the budgeted cost has been consumed here for the resources called excavator and construction supervisor. So I don't need to update the actual cost here, because assume that there is no variation at this stage. And let me click on the next activity that is required to be updated, which is install underground electric conduit. I'll click on that. Let me click on status first. Okay, before I update this activity, I have to see whether the percent complete type for this activity is correct. So let's assume that I want to run this activity on duration percent complete type. I will click on started under the status tab in the status heading. Now you see the activity status has been changed to in progress. That was not started before. And the duration percent complete, let's say the duration percent complete is 10%. Now you see here the remaining duration is updated immediately by the Primavera P6 algorithm. This is because if the activity percent complete type is set to duration for a certain activity, then the duration percent complete and the remaining duration are linked already. As you see, we have finished updating the activities already. So I will click on tools, then I will click on schedule option here. It will open up the schedule window. Let me browse the current data date to 15th of November and I will select this date. Then I'll click on schedule button here in the schedule window. Now you see our progress spotlight bar has been shifted to 15th of November. And also, if you can observe here, the activity bar in case of excavation, it is showing here, it has finished earlier than the baseline. I'm sure you have the very good idea now that how to perform the status update of the activities in our project schedule. Okay, so I'm not going to perform the status update of the remaining activities, and I leave it to you and you do the rest. So now let me quickly summarize what we have learned so far. Remember, the project status update is all about when the activity started and when it finished. First, we move our progress spotlight to the required status update date, and it will show us nicely the activities that are required to be updated here. Then we update the duration or the physical percent complete in the status tab. Please note that if the activity percent complete type is set to duration, then the remaining duration is calculated by the Primavera P6 algorithm automatically. But remember, if the activity percent complete type is set to physical, then we have to enter the remaining duration manually by ourselves. And after, the actual cost is updated in the resources tab in the activity details form, as you can see here. Finally, once the status update are done in the status tab as well as in the resources tab, then we will schedule the activities using the schedule icon in the tools toolbar, or we can perform the same function by using the tools menu, and there we can have the schedule option to schedule the activities as needed. Also, please note that we can use the progress line icon in the tools menu to see quickly if the activities in our project schedule are behind the schedule or ahead of the schedule. Okay, so that's it about this lecture, and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.